What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Pumped Up YouTube channel. And today we're here. We're gonna predict the Georgia Bulldogs 2023 season. We're gonna go through all their games. Whether they win or lose, their ceiling, their floor, and how they're pretty much just gonna do the whole season. So let's get right into this wonderful masterpiece that's gonna happen
All
right
right.
now.
As a certified Georgia football expert, I'm gonna go ahead and say, not that it was that challenging, but I predicted 12-0 last season, predicted 12-0 the season before. Both happened. Okay, so I'm just saying I got a track record as knowing the dogs. So I'm gonna go ahead right off and say Georgia, pretty tough schedule this season. Probably gonna go about 8-4. I think they lose to Ole Miss. I think they lose to Tennessee. I think they lose to Florida. And I really don't see them coming out of the South Carolina game with a win. Okay, that bit's over. We got the TikTok clip.
Yeah, get that out of the way.
We're going.
Let's get into the real prediction.
All
We're
right.
starting off. We're going to 10. Is it at home? I don't know if it's at home or away,
It's
but we're
at
going.
home. At
Okay.
home.
Well,
It's
Tennessee
at home.
Martin is coming to Georgia, and-
Imagine the Georgia Bulldogs go to Tennessee Martin.
and let's just say this: Tennessee Martin's walking out of there with the W. No, I'm just playing. Georgia's walking out of there with the W.
Yeah, that's a guaranteed win.
Yeah.
Guaranteed win for the Dogs.
Yeah.
Sanford Stadium. Tennessee Martin's just not built for that. They're
Definitely
going
not.
1-0 right off the bat. Then you got Ball State, also in Athens. That's another guaranteed win. We don't even really need to get in depth there. But then where you got a challenge. You got South Carolina.
Spencer Rattler. Don't even
leading
know who else.
a pretty solid offense. A really solid all around team that Shane Beamer's been building over there.
Yeah.
But you know what they had last year? They also had a solid team last year, and Georgia beat them 49-7.
Spencer Rattler also kind of had like a little bit of CTE, kind of in the first half of the year.
He was still recovering.
Yeah.
Yeah. That game was in South Carolina, and believe it or not, Georgia actually plays better in that stadium against South Carolina. They lost in Athens when they were supposed to win. But that all being said, Georgia comes out of this one with a win. This is the first real
First one,
challenge.
Yeah, challenge, I guess.
Not that there are that many challenges for Georgia on this schedule. It's a pretty easy one, but in Georgia's defense, supposed to play Oklahoma, but since Oklahoma's joining the SEC, that all got thrown away. But I say they start off 3-0 here. Then
Yep.
we saw what happened last time they played UAB. Brock Bowers went 80 yards for a touchdown. That was when we saw a peek into, one of the best tight end prospects in a while. UAB's not winning that one. It's 4-0.
I don't see a scenario where they walk out of that unless Brock Bowers just dies. I don't know.
No, I think unless the whole team is not there and they put only fans in, I think Georgia beats UAB.
Yeah,
and
I
that's
agree.
Respectfully to UAB.
Shout out to all our UAB fans out there.
Yeah, shout out to all the
y'all.
UAB fans out there.
Next up,
Facts.
we got Auburn Tigers. Kind of
In Auburn, Alabama.
kind of in like a little rebuild phase, I guess.
Yeah.
Who knows?
If you want to call it that.
Yeah. Who knows how good they'll be? But if they're good,
Yeah, I mean they lost Tank. They got their Michigan State transfer
Michigan State quarterback.
I did. My cousin said that his friend goes to Michigan State and that he is like one of the worst quarterbacks he's ever watched. As a Michigan State fan, he said that. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't watch many Michigan State games last year.
I mean, I feel like any fan of a team will just be like, even if their quarterback is good, I feel like any fan would just still be like,
That's true.
oh, they suck. I mean,
That's
I've
true.
done it
That's
before.
true. I still think Georgia starts off the season 5-0 here. Auburn, not built for the dogs.
I could see this as a game
big.
where Georgia plays with their food a little bit in the first half. Goes down. second half comeback. Brock Bowers game-winning touchdown.
Oh, game-winning. You really think it goes down to that? Okay.
Just
Like
because
a,
Georgia
like a little Missouri deal last year.
Dude,
with
I
Georgia?
was
that was
kind of.
horrible.
That was
not a fun
awful.
experience. We'll talk about that later.
It happens. It happens. It happens.
So that's 5-0. Then you got Kentucky. Got Devin Leary, new transfer
From NC State.
replacing. You know who? We don't even.
We're not
his
even gonna
name.
talk about. We're not
We
even
don't
talk
even
about
need
him
to talk
today.
about it.
Talked about him a lot.
Replacing him.
Last video.
Another team that I don't think is built. This is always a boring game, Georgia Kentucky, because they just play so boring, and then Georgia's just like they just have more talent, and
At least
so they win.
Devin Leary is
the
better.
boring off.
At least Devin Leary's better than Will Levis. I think that's a plus for Kentucky there.
Yeah,
So yeah, Georgia's coming out of
For
that one
sure.
with the W. Then we go on to Vanderbilt.
toughest game of the season. So Vanderbilt, former Mike Wright school, transferred to Mississippi State. That's our guy, the wearer of hats, absolute legend. With no Mike Wright, I just don't know
It's
if
Vanderbilt.
has the magic this
Georgia,
season.
Georgia's getting the W.
They're getting the W. I mean, Vanderbilt looked nice last year, but
Yeah.
Georgia still won.
Did they get a
Was
bowl
it-
game, or were they one game away?
I think they were one game away. Yeah. I think Georgia
Man.
beat. Was it 62-0 last year? Maybe it was 55.
Oh,
I forgot.
probably
But
was. But
It was up there for sure, and that's just not a game that Vanderbilt's winning.
yeah, and the next
Florida, one of the most,
one of the
in
best.
recent memory, not one of the greatest rivalries. I think what's Georgia 5-1 in the last 6 years?
Yeah,
So
probably.
this is another time where Florida's got their magic. They perform a little better than they normally do.
I don't know if they'll do
but
that with Graham Mertz at
they-
quarterback.
their-
So
Quarterback situation's just rough.
Mm.
Jack Miller and Graham Mertz. I don't know. I don't love that. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah,
I think Georgia wins this one by 20 plus again.
agree.
There's always the chance that Florida makes it a little closer than they should. They did that this past year, and then Georgia still won by a good amount. So I think that's another win right there. Then we
the
got
Missouri game getting
It was a
flashbacks.
trap game last year.
Oh man,
Georgia almost lost that. But this time it's in Athens. This time they don't have Dominic Lovett. He's now on the Dogs. Number one
He is,
wide
that's
receiver
true.
on Missouri. Drinkowitz, he'll work his magic. He'll try his best. And then the Dogs they'll win that one too. I gotta say, I think Dominic Lovett goes crazy against his former team. He knows how they play.
oh yeah.
That Carson Beck connection is built by then. It's gonna be a good game.
We're moving on to Ole Miss with that pretty good quarterback room with Jackson Dart, Spencer Sanders, and Walker Howard, and arguably the best running back in college football with Quinshon Judkins. But I still don't think it's enough. I think the Georgia Bulldogs walk out of here with the W again, making that what 9-0.
That makes it 10-0.
It's a 10-0.
actually.
Okay, I skipped one.
So, Ole Miss, that game's in Athens this year. Maybe next year when it's in Oxford. Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe. Who
But
knows?
we don't see them. We don't see the Dogs going anything less than 10-0.
Yeah.
Or do we? We'll talk about the floor later. But next up, the real challenge of Georgia's 2023 schedule is Tennessee and Neyland. So this is the second to last game. You're going into it in our eyes 10-0, and like I said, it pains me to say this. I got the credentials. I predicted the record the past 2 years. I think that Georgia goes into this game and loses to Tennessee. I
Agreed.
think that, Joe Milton is firing off all cylinders this game. Squirrel White goes for 2 touchdowns. I think, after that time to develop, Joe Milton is just turned into a dog, and I think he's gonna have a really good season. That's for another time though. And I think Tennessee wins this one, giving Georgia their first regular season loss, and I guess loss in general, in like by now 700 days at that point. So
I agree with that. I
it's
think
a,
Joe.
it's a
I
tough.
think Joe Milton will be too much for the defense, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's how the cookie crumbles.
Hey, and it's a tough time, but I think it's going to be LSU, Tennessee, SEC championship there. And then obviously your last game,
Your
you enjoy a nice
rivalry
Thanksgiving.
game.
You enjoy a nice Thanksgiving break, eat some turkey, eat good, get filled up,
Oh, yeah.
and then just crush Georgia Tech, because that's what the Dogs do. Georgia Tech, that's not even a rivalry game. Who remembers the last time Georgia Tech won? Because
I don't. I know I
sure
don't.
don't. I sure don't. So that's 11-1 right there. That's our official prediction for the Georgia Bulldogs 2023 season. But now, getting into the floor and the ceiling. Really, the only reason our floor is what it is because Carson Beck, and not saying he's unproven, but your first year as a starter,
inexperienced.
you never know. You never know what can happen there. So barring, there's injuries, there's the unknown quarterback room. Our floor for Georgia, the 2023 season, is 10-2. Got South Carolina and Tennessee being the two games that Georgia could lose. I don't think either of us really see them losing anything else than that.
Then the ceiling is just undefeated, winning the national championship.
And that's the standard at the University.
I feel like
of Georgia
that's kind of
these days.
what's expected. Not expected, but it's not surprising at this point for
Yeah,
Georgia to
I
go
agree.
undefeated and at least make the national championship.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think it's I think people will consider it a failure of a season if Georgia doesn't, at the very least, make the playoffs.
I agree.
And
I
maybe
agree.
win the first game and make it to the Natty. But I really don't see a situation where Georgia doesn't make the playoffs. I think 11-1 lost to Tennessee. They still make the playoffs after the SEC championship happens and they're not in it. And then maybe they work a little Alabama magic and win with no SEC championship.
Going for that three-peat.
Going for the three-peat. That is our official prediction, though. Official prediction. We're going for it right now. Georgia, 10-0 going into this season, loses to Tennessee. It lights that fire in the players. They haven't lost in a while. They don't remember what that's like. Gets them motivated. They don't make the SEC championship. They use all this time to train and practice and prepare for who they're going to play in the playoffs, because they're going to make the playoffs if they go 11-1, probably, unless they lose really badly to Tennessee. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to play, I think they play USC or Ohio State.
Caleb Williams.
Little Caleb Williams action. I think they play USC or Ohio State, win that game, make the Natty, and I think Georgia three-peats this season.
I agree. Playing Florida State in the national championship, of course. Just put that out there.
Yeah.
Put it on the TikTok. We're putting it out there.
Hey,
Florida State,
lock it
Georgia,
in.
national championship. Georgia wins, though, unfortunately.
Lock it in. It's May 11th, 2023. We're 4 months before the season even starts. And we already just told you how Georgia's 2023 season is going to go. And if you disagree, just wait until that exact thing happens.
Like we said in the last video, if you disagree, too bad. We're right.
You don't know ball.
We know we're right, all right?
Yeah.
But that is our prediction.
We'll post the receipts. You don't need to bookmark this, although you can bookmark this if you want to. But we'll post the receipts whenever we got them. That's our official Georgia prediction. Leave us a comment if you want us to predict your team. Let us know what your team is. Give us some video ideas. We got some NBA stuff to talk about here soon. We got some podcasts to host, some new guests in the works, and we appreciate you watching.